So, what's the most recent report that you followed up on?
Well, let's see. We had I got an email. It was on the 29th or 30th of December, right at the end of the year, and the man in the email told me that his wife had gone out in their back porch to have a smoke. This was about 4 in the afternoon. She looked down off the porch into this ravine. They have this really steep gully behind their house, and there's a little creek down there that gets pretty big in the wintertime. But we hadn't had much rain this year, so it was still pretty low. And she said she looked down there and she saw the head and shoulders of something that had black hair all over it, and the hair was sticking out. And she said from her location way up above looking down, this thing looked to be at least 6 feet tall. And she said it must have been a bear. And so I asked the man if we could come over there and look around in the backyard and so forth. Well, as it turned out, his wife, when she found out that he had notified the Bigfoot Museum, she was a little bit miffed about it, because she was envisioning hordes of people stomping around her backyard or something to that effect. But we're usually very discreet about this sort of thing. We don't post our sightings that are involving somebody's house like that without their permission, and we never do it right when it's happening. It's always kind of, oh yeah, there was an event there once years ago. That's the way we put it up. So she really had nothing to worry about. But we had another man then, about 2 days later, come in, and he said, now this is a man who has had ongoing experiences over several years of this prowler that comes around. And he said, hey, my granddaughter was visiting. She woke up in the middle of the night. She's 14 years old, and she said there was some kind of a prowler right outside the window, and she heard it, and then there was a couple of taps on the window. She said it made a couple of whooping sounds, and then there was some kind of clicking, and at that point she got up and left. She went and spent the rest of the night with her mom. Well, as it turns out, this particular house, and like I said, we've been there in the past, and have good reason to believe this is just genuinely a Bigfoot event that takes place at this house. It's about 300 yards north on that same gully where this woman said she saw this big black animal.
And the two events were just days apart?
They were days apart, the reports. Yeah. The man tells me in an email something happened on the 28th, and on the either the 31st or the 1st, the man comes in and says his granddaughter had something at her window. Now, there's a wild animal trail that comes down off the mountain and goes right between the house, right next to this man's back steps on the side of his house where this window is, and he's had something at the window in the past. Something tried to pull the screen off the window.
How high is the window off the ground?
It's not so high that a human couldn't reach it. But there's a very obvious animal trail, and the trail kind of splits, and some of the animals come down and get onto his steps and head down that way. And what's particularly interesting is that if you go up the hill where the animals are coming from, and you go to the highest peak, that's where a young man actually saw one in broad daylight in 1998. And that's another story.